Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and sorry for the humming in the background, but it is getting hot over here on the East Coast. Now, I've lived on both the East Coast and the West Coast. I actually lived in Southern California for a number of years, and I know how hot it can get out there. And that heat is it's like really dry heat at times, especially if you're in the Inland Empire. The heat that hits you on the East Coast is different. It's like a lingering humid heat that just creeps its way into everything. So when it starts getting hot out here on the East Coast, the AC is a must. And I got one of those old school ACs up here, so apologies for the humming. But I wanted to do a follow-up. I've just been responding to some of these comments that I'm getting like in the last couple days of folks just wanting to see different aspects of my collection. Which, you know, again, I really have a small collection, but you know, I try to respond to these requests. And one of the last ones that I got was from Easy Gamer. He asked for me to showcase the games that I have left in my Switch collection. I'd have to do it in parts because it would be a longer video than I could probably do in one shot. So maybe I'll do it in parts. So I just grabbed like the first 12 games off of my shelf. Mind you, I only have like 60-ish games in my Switch collection at this point. But I'll showcase the first 12 now. These are the games that I kept. Now, bear in mind that up to a point, I had about 350 different Switch games in my collection. And if you go back in my channel, you'll see I had a ton of Switch games. A lot of limited run stuff, like the early limited run stuff, strictly limited stuff. I had a lot of fluff in there too. Well, I guess not really fluff, because they were all games that I would like games that I would play, but I really just boiled it all down to 50 games. So anyway, let me get it started. Here are some of the 60 that I have left. First is River City Girls 2. Obviously, I've got River City Girls 1, but River City Girls 2 was a game that I wanted to keep because it's one of the best beat 'em ups I've ever played. For both modern systems and older systems. The mechanics in River City Girls is sick. For one, it's like one of the first open world beat 'em up games that I've ever played. Most beat 'em ups are like side scrolling. You're walking in one direction, you're beating them up, and you're going, and that's it. River City Girls plays more of like an open world, kind of like RPG beat 'em up style game. It's like an RPG beat 'em up where you can walk into different stores, buy pizza, buy clothes. You can take different routes. You can go down different alleyways. You could take the bus to certain parts. And to me, that it just adds a whole dynamic to the game that, from an exploration perspective, that is great, and it has a lot of great replay value as well. And then, even though the moves in this game are pretty much bite-offs or copycats of a combination of moves from other games like Street Fighter and King of Fighters and stuff like that, it's still dope just to be able to execute some of those moves in a beat 'em up. So for me, I had to keep it in the collection, and I know I was real long-winded with this one, but I'm just a very big fan of the River City Girls series. So River City Girls 2 had to stay in the collection. Next one up, this one is a banger for sure. Anno Mutationem. First of all, I love the cover art, man. This is just like sick. I'm not a super fan of anime, because I think like there are certain anime shows that just get way too like complicated and deep and stuff. I would say I'm a mild fan of anime, and I think this character is just cool. The way she's drawn, the way she shows up on the cover art, simple, dope, and then the gameplay on this one is sick. Like the exploration side of it is kind of like this 2.5D or 3D, like open, like not open world, but it's more, there's more to explore. And then the battle portions of this game take on more of like a side scrolling, like hack and slash, shoot 'em up style. So just a great combination, great delivery and format on this one. I'm a big fan, so had to keep this one in the collection. Yes, this one definitely had to stay in the collection. Primarily because trying to get this game on the Neo Geo is impossible for me. Impossible because of the price, and just impossible because it's hard to find. So Lord X on the Switch was an amazing port. Awesome port by NG Dev. This is a side-scrolling run-and-gun shooter, which I did a video this morning about run-and-gun shooters, and it's funny I didn't include this game. It didn't even dawn on me to add it, but yeah. Lord X is a sick run-and-gun shooter game, originally released on the Neo Geo. If you never heard of this, you got to check it out. It is pretty dope. Let's see what else we got there on the screenshots on the back. Yeah, look at that. Pretty sick. Iconoclasts. So this is one of the earlier limited run Switch releases that I actually kept in my collection. This is a cool, like, action platforming run and gun shooter. Very cool sprites. I like how colorful and bright the sprites are on this one. Just a really cool game. If you're into limited run stuff, this is one that I had to keep in the collection. Timespinner. So this is definitely one I had to keep. I remember when I first bought a Switch, this was like back in 2019-ish, I want to say. This was one of the first games that I downloaded on the Switch. And this is probably one of the closest things to like a Castlevania Symphony of the Night. There are a lot of Castlevania Symphony of the Night clones out there, but Timespinner is definitely, in terms of just like the level design, and probably more so the music, Timespinner has very good music. It's very like casual, jazzy kind of music. It's pretty cool. And then I like the fact that you can, like, your main weapons are these different orbs that you collect, and you can combine them, you can fuse them, you can use multiple ones at the same time. Some of them have different elements to them, like fire and you know, like blade and different things like that. So story's a little weird on this one. I'm not gonna lie. The story is a little bit weird, but dope game nonetheless. Check this one out, Timespinner. Y'all know I love my shooters. I just did a video on some of the shooters that I have in my collection. I didn't include them all. And Darius Cosmic Revelation is a collection of some of the most iconic Darius games released on the Switch. This is a strictly limited release. They did release these, I think, in the stores. There was like a common release on this one, on some of these games, but strictly limited had a special release on this. Kept this in the collection. We got another shoot 'em up here. So this is a side scroller, but this one's pretty tight. Griffin Knight Epic. So this is kind of like a side scrolling cute 'em up game. It's a shooter. Think like Ghouls and Ghosts, but like side scrolling shooter. Pretty cool game. This one was really expensive for a while, like really expensive, really hard to get. And then I think they did like a re-release, like a random re-release or something like that, and I was able to get my hands on it. No, I pre-ordered this, that's what it was. And then I think it just came really late. Like I had to wait like months for this game to come, and it finally came. But Griffin Knight's a cool one, a cool little cute 'em up. Darius Cosmic Collection console. So this is one of like, there's two Darius games that came out by Strictly Limited: Darius Cosmic Arcade and Darius Cosmic Collection, the console version. Just a console version here, and each of them have different sets of Darius games. If you like shoot 'em ups, you'll like this one. I'm a shoot 'em up fanatic. Oh, another run and gun shooter that I forgot to include in my run and gun shooter video. Blazing Chrome. How could I forget to include this one? Blazing Chrome is tight. So think Contra Hard Corps for the Sega Genesis. This is like a reimagining of that game. Pretty good game. Pretty good run and gun shooter. If you're into the genre, you'll really like this one. All the explosions and weird 90s looking characters. This is a really good blast from the past. Limited run release. You'll like this one. Velocity 2 times. Now I can't remember if this one is this one is kind of like a run and gun shooter as well, like a side scrolling run and gun shooter. This is one of the early Strictly Limited releases. If you look at that, Strictly Limited number 15. This was back when I think Strictly Limited was only releasing these games at like 3,000 or 4,000. So I think this is 2174 of only 3,000 of these released. But yeah, Velocity, I think it's Velocity 2X. Yeah, 2 times 2X. This is a cool one. Wanted to add it, kept it in the collection just because I feel like this one will be like hard to find, like really hard to find. Ultra Core. Another run and gun shooter. Man, I left a lot of run and gun shooters off of the list there when I made that video this morning. But Ultra Core is another run and gun shooter. Another 90s style kind of run and gun shooter game. Pretty cool on the Switch. I got this on the PS4 the other day for like 29 bucks. But if you look at it there, looks like something you would have seen on the Sega Genesis. Look at that. The lost run and gun of the 90s. As you can see, I have a particular taste with these games. So I'm a fan of the run and gun shooter genre. So Ultra Core is definitely a cool one. I mentioned this one in my video this morning about honorable mention. So this is Bite the Bullet. This is a super underrated run and gun shooter game. This game is funny because you can eat food, and I think you can eat some of the enemies and get fat in this game. I don't know how many of you play Metal Slug, but in Metal Slug X, there were certain parts of the level where if you blew up a shack and a bunch of watermelon and bananas and chickens came out, if you ate too many of them at one time, the character would get fat, heavy Tarma, or heavy, so he'd be heavy and it slows you down, and your gun gets chunkier, so the bullets get heavier. Well, I don't know if that's where this game got that idea from, but Bite the Bullet is definitely a cool run and gun style shooter. Very, very interesting, this one. The graphics on it are sick. I really like the way the graphics look on this one, and the story is pretty tight. Check this one out too. Another semi-early strictly limited release, but Bite the Bullet's sick. Check it out. I really like this one. And last but not least, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time. So I'm a fan of the Samurai Jack games. Actually, I had Samurai Jack on the PS2. I think I have Samurai Jack Battle of Aku. I think there's 2 Samurai Jack games on the PS2. I can't remember. Somebody let me know down in the comments. But I know there's definitely one, and it's Shadow of Aku. I think that's what it's called, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, when I saw that strictly limited run was coming out with another Samurai Jack game, I had to grab it. I'm a huge fan of the third-person hack and slash games. I'm a hack and slash lover, and so I went ahead and added Samurai Jack to the collection, or kept it in the collection. And these are 12 of the 60-ish or so games that I decided to keep in my Switch collection. And I'll probably come out with another part to this. I guess I'm gonna have to, if I'm gonna show all the Switch games that I kept. But these are the ones that I decided to keep. There's a lot of Switch games out there. There's so many Switch games that you could buy and collect for, and that's the thing. The Switch is so easy to collect for that it's easy to get caught up and feel like you need to buy everything. And next thing you know, you have this wall of 4,000 Switch games that you legitimately will never play. I want to keep my Switch collection somewhat reasonable. I don't think there's any system that I have more than 50 games for the console, just because I know I probably won't ever play that many games. And so I try to keep I'm trying to keep my collection feasible, which is why I told myself I definitely don't want to have more than 1,000 games. Right now I'm roughly at about 700 to 750 games, and even that is too much for me. I really want to get that number and keep that number below 7. I tried to get it below 5, but it's hard. I got too many games that I like to get it below 5. And if I am going to add any more games to my collection, it really needs to be the best games of the genre. You know what I mean? If I'm going to buy a game, it needs to be first part of a genre that I'm into, and then it needs to be a quality game. Now, sometimes I make a mistake, and I might buy a game that I might think is top tier, but it's actually not that great. An example would be Lord X. I recently bought Lord X on the Switch because when I saw the footage and I looked at the screenshots, it looked like an amazing game. But Lord X is so-so. I'm going to keep it in the collection, but for now. But that's kind of where I'm at. And I guess the way I would end this video is that don't get caught up in the Switch and just buy a bunch of Switch games, because there's a lot of Switch games that are out there that you can buy. Try to give yourself a limit. Try to say, I'm not going to buy more than 100 Switch games, because it is extremely easy to buy